How you
I'm
doing today?
here today with the legendary Ernie C of Body Count. You don't know what this means to me, but this is one of those come to Jesus moments for me. To talk about Merciless coming out November 22nd on Century Media, the latest Body Count record. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you very much for taking the time.
Oh, you're quite welcome. You're quite. Where are you at today? Where are you at?
Toronto, Canada.
Oh, Ever Pop in Toronto. Yes,
And
I've been there.
you guys are due to come up here for a show.
It's like we only tour a certain amount of time right now because Ice has a regular day job. So we're going to get there. We've been talking about it. We're going to get there.
I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I was actually talking to a local promoter last week about the record, and he's like, "Man, I need to get in touch with the Body Count people because we need to get them up to Toronto to play a
We
show."
the last time we've been up to Canada was Heavy Montreal, which is like a whole another thing, you know?
Yeah, that was a lifetime ago. Lifetime
Yeah,
ago. So let's
exactly.
talk about Merciless, and let me start off
Sure.
by asking you this: over the years, since the debut record all the way to now, has your process of approaching a new record and writing a new record has it changed at all?
It has, but it doesn't seem like it has. The way we record has changed. From all the way back, we were started off on tape, so now we're everything's digital, and we have our producer has a lot of the last four records. Will Putney, he's great. I always call him a kid because when we first met with him, he said to me, he says, this is like maybe 8 years ago. He says, Ernie, you used to record on tape. That must have took forever. I'm like, what the hell? Well, it kind of did. So yeah, but it's changed, but the attitude remains the same. So that's why we changed everything because we used to sit in the room and the band used to play and write songs and hang out. Now we just bring songs in and piece it together. So.
Funny enough, I'm going to see Will Putney today. He's playing here in Toronto with Better Lovers.
Oh, Better Lovers. Yeah, that's his other band because he's in Fit for
Fit for
Autopsy.
an
That's his other.
autopsy.
And
Yeah.
we have Joe Bad from Fit for Autopsy on our record.
On
So you see,
Psychopath. And he slid into the lyrics there, Fit for an Autopsy, which I thought was really cool of him
yeah,
giving himself a pat in the back.
yes, exactly. So we thought it was cool. We enjoy having guests on the record. Anytime you do a record and someone wants to be on it, that kind of you're kind of like happy, that you're still around doing this 30 plus years later.
And on this record, you have more guests than Joe. You have Corpse Grinder as well on the track. So there's a few other guests as well. How is it when it comes to guests being on a Body Count song? Do you guys write the song and in right away you're like, okay, this guy would be perfect on the track, or is that something that happens afterwards?
No, we write the song and then we're like, somebody might be around, and we're like, because Joe is just around because he's in Will Putney's band. Everything just kind of we don't go out asking people before we start. After we finish the song, because on our last record we had Randy Blythe on it, and we finished the song. I was talking to Randy. I said, "Hey, you want to be on our record?" He's like, "Okay," and we sent him over some tracks, and we don't write a song and say we got to get this person. We've never done that.
You guys brought Max Cavalera back for another track as well.
But Max is family. We know Max and Sepultura. My guitar tech works with Max when he's not with me, so it's family. Him and his wife, they're family. So that's easy. That's an easy one.
You mentioned Will Putney as the producer. How is it working with a guy like that that comes in with perhaps a new vision of where heavy music is going? And you guys are such a legacy band that have, a heavy history in terms of your discography. Is it easy to mesh these two different worlds?
It's very easy. He's like the fifth Beatle, So he works out fine. When we met him, it was like he was the right guy at the right time because we needed. I didn't want to produce records anymore. He was the right guy. He came in. He's easy for Ice to work with. I can work with him. The band. So yeah, he's the right guy. Even though his band, the it sounds different than ours. It's all the same. I always say, it's the amp cranked up to 10 with distortion on it. It's all metal. You can
It's
put any
about
kind of,
attitude.
yeah, you can put any kind of label on it you want. People are like, "Hey, you're heavy metal." I'm like, I don't know how we ended up heavy metal. We're just a rock band.
Yeah, yeah. I think you guys are just like a heavy rock band, and that comes with the attitude in the songs and the attitude in the lyrics. Now, listening to this album, I've been listening to you guys since the debut album. So I've been listening to you guys for a very long time. But when I listened
Yeah.
to this record, I felt like this album, perhaps more than any other record, has a little bit of an East Coast New York attitude in it. It has it in the sound, in the way the lyrics are coming across, in the production behind it. Do you feel like this is, and I don't want to bring East Coast, West Coast bullshit
I,
into the mix, but do you feel like this is a more East Coast driven sounding record?
I don't even know what that means exactly because we're out here. Ice has been on the East Coast now for a while. Because he's been out there for years now, and Putney's out there. So maybe something's happening. But we mix some of this record. We play some stuff in Phoenix, so I don't know. It could be. I
Maybe
don't know
because
what an East Coast and West Coast is exactly.
no, like I mean, when you look at your debut record, I felt like the debut album sonically, it's a lot groovier. It has um, a little bit more of an urban vibe to the sound
Yeah.
and even to the lyrics to a certain extent. When you look at this album now with songs like The Purge, Psychopath, I almost feel like that stuff has New York written all over it.
Yeah, it kind of does. But the first record was more a punk record. It was the band was really young at that time. We only played 11 shows, then we started recording. So it's a different kind of feel. Now the band's developed, and it could have a little more East Coast flavor to it. Because we're getting ready to play a show in Jersey with East Coast, the hardcore New York bands.
Yeah, and I think it fits perfectly into the vibe. And I think this record has a lot of that in it. One thing that when I was listening to this album, a song that came up in my mind as I was listening to it right away was Comfortably Numb, because I think it's
Mhm.
a track that really sets itself apart from everything else on the album. And when I was
Yeah.
listening to it, it reminded me a little bit of The Winner Loses from the debut record. Do you see the connection between these two tracks?
That's very interesting. Maybe Ice saw it because Ice was looking for a song that I could play a lot of guitar on. So we chose he chose that song. We've been working on it for a while, which and he wrote the lyrics out. And originally we recorded it. Richie Sambora and I played the guitars. Richie was the other guitar player because my bass player Vince is Richie Sambora's guitar tech. So Richie and I played on it. So then we said, okay, let's do this right. You can throw a song out. We said, let's do it right. Let's get approval for it. So we sent it over to David and we sent it over to Roger. And Roger came back and says, who's singing on it? We're like, Ice-T. They're like, it's not Gilmore. He's like, no, it's not. He said, you have my blessing. You can do it. So then we sent it over to Gilmore and he's like, I love it. I love it. Only one thing. Can I play on it? We're like, what the hell? He wants to play on it? Like, of course, of course. And I mean, being a guitar player from South Central LA, I'm just like, I'm just like in awe that Gilmore is playing on my record. In awe.
I love the fact that you're such a fan of the music around you and of those artists, the same way people are like I'm a huge fan of you guys. So I find that amazing that with all these years and all the success of the band, at the end of the day, you're still a kid.
Yeah, I mean, but it brings out my kid because a simple fact, I used to sneak in when I worked at Kentucky Fried Chicken in Hollywood. I used to sneak in to see the song remains the same and Gilmore's movie played at the midnight matinee. And after a while, the manager, he figured out I was a guitar player from the hood, and he's just like, "Go on, just let me go on." And I go in every week. Every week, I'd watch that movie, those
Wow.
two movies. Yeah, and for him to say, "I want to play on the record," is like, what the hell?
Yeah, that like it's incredible how the turns that the world takes.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, uh, quiet is kept. We're going to play this song uh, on Jimmy Fallon's show in 2 weeks. We're going to play it on national
Wow.
television, and we have an edit. We have to edit it down to 4 minutes. And I'm like sitting here going, okay, I haven't even listened to the edit yet because I mean I'm sharing this with you. It's kind of intimidating. You got to figure out the right thing because they're going to love me or hate. You I mean, I'm just like, what the hell? I got to play. you know, Gilmore's licks.
Yeah, no pressure.
None whatsoever. Just playing in front of everyone in the United States,
Yeah, yeah, no pressure. I mean, you couldn't get a bigger stage. I mean, unless it's the Super Bowl.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm just like trying to figure out, what do I even wear? I always want to wear a cape. I told Ice I want to wear a cape, like like James Brown and something.
I love it. I honestly, I think you guys could get away with whatever. I think you could
Yeah,
get away
but
with whatever.
I mean, I might be spending too much time on this, but it's like intimidating. That's the 14-year-old kid, going. I gotta play the guy I used to watch every week up on the big screen. I gotta play his licks some kind of way, and then worry about my tone being right and not hitting the wrong note. There's a lot going on
There's
here.
no editing. There's not going to be any editing or
Yeah,
re.
that word live kind of that word live is like echoing through my head, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
And speaking of a big stage like that, I talked last year, I think, with some of the guys from Cannibal Corpse about the future of metal and maybe one day a band like Cannibal Corpse playing at a Super Bowl. What do you think about a band like Body Count one day playing at the Super Bowl?
I don't know. It could happen. I mean, considering the way we were 30 years ago, we won a Grammy, so that kind of like says something, because Ice used to have this lyric on his rap songs that went, "I never get a Grammy, so fuck the G. All I need is a crowd and my MIC." Right? So he had that on one of his records, his rap records, and then we got a Grammy nomination. It's like, hey, we got a Grammy. Hey, this is wonderful.
He's
So
gonna
it's like,
change it.
exactly. And when we actually won it, we were like, how did this happen? But it kind of just says you're accepted now. We're pop culture.
Another track that immediately popped for me was "Do or Die." I think it's one of the best songs of the record, and I was surprised that it didn't make it as one of the first singles to come out. What's your thoughts on a song like "Do or Die"? Because I thought
Well,
it was really different. Like it has one set of chorus in the first half, and then a different set of chorus in the second half of the song.
that's one of Ice's things that we were experimenting with. So we'll see. I think the record company is saving that. They release these songs that they release first, and then after the record comes out, I think "Do or Die" is one of the better songs. They're going to do that later. So
Yeah,
we'll see how it goes.
I think it's a great track. I
Yeah,
really
it's kind
different.
of different. It's kind of different. So we're going to save it till after the 22nd. It'll probably be in the next singles because we're trying to. All the songs on there are almost single worthy.
Everything is sung as a single.
Yeah, yeah, every song is a single, and it took us so long to do this. That's what happened. Some stuff we threw out because we started working on this right after the pandemic because we didn't tour on the record. We didn't have, we just started getting material together for another record.
Yeah, when I was listening to the album, outside of the intro track, because it's an intro track, but
Yep.
outside of that, every song is a single. There's really this abundance of quality throughout the entire album.
Yeah, it's because we took our time doing it. We had time to do it because we didn't know when we were going to tour again. We didn't know, what the state of music is. So it seemed like music is bouncing back. So bands are out playing again because we were going to tour in 22. Everyone was still getting sick.
Mhm.
Everyone, bands went out and they got sick, and it was no purpose in doing it. But we went out, during the
You guys did
summer.
a European tour this year.
Yeah, I did it. I caught COVID,
You
but it
did?
wasn't.
Wow.
Yeah, I did. I caught COVID, but it wasn't. It was like it wasn't bad at all. I went through all the shots and all this kind of stuff, so it wasn't bad. It was a
I,
couple days.
yeah, I think now, like, I think I picked it up a while ago because I've been sick for like 4 weeks or 5 weeks or
Uh-huh,
something like
uh-huh.
that. But, like nobody cares anymore. So it's like, oh, what are you going to do? Just go on
Yeah,
with your
yeah.
life.
But during that time, people were dropping dead. That was a scary moment in time. It was
Yeah,
a very interesting.
it was definitely a different time back then. Like, yeah, it was definitely a different place in a different mindset.
Yeah,
On this album, do you have a favorite riff that stands out in your mind?
no, not really, because riffs are shorter now. Riffs are like more real quick. In the old days, you used to have long things that you can do. But now, I don't know. I like the riff in oh, I can't think of the song. It's Iron Man. It sounds like Iron Man. We took the lick from what's the name of the song? Uh, Merciless, because it sounds like Iron Man, kind of.
You guys got a little bit of inspiration.
Yeah, I mean, I produce a Sabbath record, so I got a lot of. I played that guitar that Tony played on Iron Man. He brought it for me to play, so I played on that guitar.
How
So I
was
have a
that?
lot of inspiration.
How was that
Uh,
experience?
the guitar or the
Yeah, like
experience?
just sitting there and playing with that guitar, knowing what that guitar was used for.
Well, I played it. He brought it. I played it all night, so I played Iron Man any kind of way you could play it, different fingering, every kind of way you could. That's another being a kid moment, playing that guitar.
Were you like self-taught as a guitar player, or you took lessons?
Well, I took lessons at first, and I started playing right-handed because I'm a left-handed guitarist. But the guy said to me, the guitar teacher said to me, he says, um, "Well, if you were playing the piano, would you change the keys around?" I'm like, "No." He said, "Well, you're going to play guitar this way." I'm like, so I played like that for a while. Then I saw Hendrix play. I'm like, "What's this guy doing? I didn't change my strings around." So I quit taking lessons and started teaching myself.
And back then, I'm assuming was a lot more difficult. It's not like you had YouTube where you could just go in and see a video and tutorial.
No, we had a record with a needle and you kept on putting it back. But I'm on YouTube now. I'm on trying to learn what these kids are doing. It's the most interesting, you know, device for learning things like YouTube and all these tutorials and all that. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, speaking of that, when you see some of the new guys like that are absolutely shredders on the guitar, is that intimidating in any way?
Nope, not at all. I played with BB King one time when I was like in my 30s, early 30s, when we played the Montreal Jazz Festival over in Switzerland, right? And he said, "Hey, son, why don't you go get your guitar and sit in with us?" So I soon sat in with him, right? And so you play with Mr. King. So I'm playing every lick I've learned since the beginning of the time, and then afterwards he says, "You in a hurry? You got somewhere to be?" Because I was playing so fast. I was like, okay.
You gotta slow it down, enjoy the moment.
Yeah, he said, Hey son, you got somewhere to be? You're in a hurry to get somewhere?" I'm like, okay. So,
Well, the
yeah.
stories, the things that you've done, the stories that you have are incredible. Is there anything left on the bucket list of Ernie C that you haven't done that you would like to do?
I don't know. I mean, the stories just happen because they just happen. I've been very fortunate in my musical life to be fortunate. I don't know, but I don't know. Whatever happens, happens. I'm just here for the ride.
If a new guitar player, a young kid picking up the guitar today, what would be your advice?
Stay true. I always tell the kids this: stay, because I do music cares. I help these kids that are on this fentanyl and all this crazy madness that's going around now. But I always say, stay true to what you do. Because when you start chasing something, you're chasing it. It means that it's running away from you. So don't chase your dream. You let it come to you. Because when I started playing guitar, I started playing in the '70s. Disco was popular, and people were like, "Oh, all that guitar stuff is over." And I just kept on doing what I'm doing. So where's disco now? But people are coming. It came back around. I didn't have to chase anything.
Yeah, that's a great advice from an absolute legend. Ernie, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank
I honestly hope that you guys cross the border into Toronto at some point in time to play these songs here. It's been too long, too
I
long.
know it is. I know it is, and I hope I get there also.
Otherwise,
We
you would have
we're still
told me
playing.
to travel somewhere to see you guys, either in Europe or in the US. I have never seen Body Count live, and
Oh, you got to.
I don't want to die of a heart attack one day without seeing you guys live.
You have to come see us sooner or later.
Fuck, I have to. I have to.
Oh,
Ernie, thank you very much for your time, man. A true
thank
blessing
you.
to sit here with you today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You have a good day.
You too, man. Take care. Bye.